Hi there, my name is Stephen Tako. Welcome to Tako Talk. This is an anti-bullying show where we focus not so much on the bullying aspect, but on what people can do to overcome the effects of bullying. You know, a lot of people are victimized by bullying, but why talk so much about, oh, I'm a victim and my life is terrible and whatever? This show is more about helping people get past the negative effects of bullying. And in fact, we have a former bully. He went to my school with me, and this guy here picked on me relentless. Yeah, I'm just joking. But we have Jeremy Weinglass on the show with us today, and it's funny because he and I are both 6'7", we'll say, even though technically it's 6'6.5", but you didn't hear that. But it's funny because I'm not used to being around people my height. And so while we're sitting here, it's like, wow, this is like my twin brother. But you already have a twin brother, so I can't be your twin brother.
That's true.
Anyway. But Jeremy, we were just talking during the break, and Jeremy was telling me a little bit about what type of history you had. You were saying growing up you had to deal with some bullying issues. Jeremy wasn't actually the bully. But so tell us a little bit about your occurrences that happened to you when you were a kid, and then how you got over it as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here too.
Sure. You bet.
This is a really deep topic, I think, for a lot of children go through, and it depends on how you come out from the other side, really, and how you can continue to stand tall and share your gifts. At the time, growing up, I had a lot of bullies in my school. It's just how it was, and I had a twin brother as well, so we both really stuck out.
Are you guys identical twins?
Identical twins.
Wow.
And I was 6'4" in 8th grade, and not fully grown into my body yet, so really more lanky and less confident then. Also, I'm a professional pianist, so at the time I was really into art and honing my craft of piano, and also singing in the choir. My mom had us in a lot of different things, singing, acting.
So let me get this.
Yes.
So you were bullied a lot in school.
Yes.
And so you thought the remedy to being bullied was to take up piano and sing in the choir?
Not exactly. It didn't help. It was.
But you know what?
Yes.
But you had a gift.
Yes.
And you had a passion. He had a passion. And even though you were being bullied a lot,
yes,
you were true to your passion.
Yes, I was true to my passion. That was the hardest time to be, because at 12 years old, 13, I mean, it was not cool to be in the choir. My brother and I were the only boys in the choir. I was accompanying the choir, and he was singing in it.
At school?
At school.
Gosh, because I grew up
7th and 8th grade. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in choir as well, and I was in this group called the Singing. Well, we were called the Singing Imps.
Yeah.
But people who were jealous of us called us the Swinging Chimps.
Swinging
chimps. You just can't get. But we were on TV. It was at 5th grade, and we were like on TV. We had these red vests and blue pants, and I remember turning into the television and like, oh, there I am, you know, around the holidays and and such. But yeah, we had a lot of guys.
Yeah, for some reason the guys at our school thought it was too cool not to do that, and it was more about sports. And I got a late start playing basketball. I wanted to play basketball too, but I got a late start, so I got made fun of a lot. It was always this eye on me and my brother, and with a name like Weinglass too. I mean, come on, like it's hard to get away.
What were some of the nicknames that you were called?
Well, what's funny about a name like Weinglass is that it's already what it is. It's already funny. And then when someone would call me beer mug, I'd be like, well, how's that any funnier? I guess it is. They would call me, and of course you can change the last part to wine ass too, and leave the GL out. Yeah.
That's terrible.
It's horrible.
No, my last name is Tako.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the horrible? They called me Tako.
Taco.
Can you believe it?
Taco. I didn't see it coming.
Awful.
Yeah.
But we all had it.
Yeah, so there were some rough times. I can remember times of trying to avoid fighting. So it was always tough, like whether or not how to handle that. So it was a big deal to figure out how to get through school without all this attention. And then the question of who I was, like I just got a lot of attention, whether positive or negative. It was, oh, the Weinglass twins, we just stuck out. So It was challenging.
So how did now? Okay, you did the choir and you did the piano playing, but how did you deal with it? You and your brother. I mean, both of you guys. How did you? Did you ever get into any fights? How did you?
I had to get through a few fights. It happened. I mean, there was no avoiding it. I had my mom on one side saying, "Oh, just say, you know, sticks and stones will break my bones." That doesn't work.
When you're in junior high,
it's tough.
Stones might break my bones.
Pretty much is what her advice was. So there's a moment where you have to stand tall and be ready almost for conflict. It's a really tough time. I think the takeaway for it is, and I thought so at the time, was that I needed more help. I needed people around to step in. That's what I was so frustrated about.
Like teachers?
Well, not teachers have a tough time already, but I'm talking about the other students. The students that watch, the ones that don't do anything. And I think right now that there's a movement more about bullying. I think there's more attention on it.
Huge.
And I think that's the part that people need to realize, that they can contribute, not to look the other way, to come to say, no, that's not right. If I had a whole classroom saying that that's not right, then perhaps it could have been different. Rather than it was the people that ignored it or didn't want to get involved. That's, I think, is the part that if we can treat each other more like brothers and sisters, rather than minding our own business.
Right. Now, you did have your brother, so at least you had that.
That's true.
The one guy, but he was picked on as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we had to
So his enemies also kind of. It was almost like guilty through association too.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because I know I was picked on terribly in school as well. I had years where I had like no friends.
Right.
You know, and because of my, like, let's say I remember one year I became friends with this one girl, and she was an oddball.
Right.
You know, like me, like I was an oddball, outcast, or whatever. And because of my friendship with her, then people disassociated me even more. Mm-hmm. So that didn't help my situation.
It didn't. Yeah.
And now, and you bring up a very good point about the fighting, because that's one thing. Like ever since I became an anti-bullying advocate, I've always wondered, you know, what if somebody asks me about how I came from being bullied? Like, how did it end? And I am not a proponent of fighting, and so I've always had this deep-seated answer within me that I'm like always reluctant to talk about, and I don't want to. I want to tell the truth here, and the fact is that I finally had to fight someone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy, he had been tormenting me for like maybe 2 or 3 years, and it was nuts. It was all of 7th grade, all of 8th grade.
Yeah, exactly.
And
7th, 8th grade.
Yeah, and it's terrible. And then finally in 9th grade, I was getting off the school bus, and this guy, you know, he was saying all these awful things to me, as he always does, and I'm used to it. I'm just kind of sitting there, you know, all quiet, trying to just get home.
Avoid,
you know?
just look
and one of these guys, another guy on the school bus goes, why are you letting him do that to you?
Right.
You know, why don't you say blankety blank to him? So when I was walking off the bus, I walked past him, and he said something to me, and I said, blankety blank you, right? So then all of a sudden he goes, oh, hell no, you know, and he got off the bus, and we fought right there in front of the school bus.
Yes, yes.
And then I talked to my dad about what happened, and my dad then taught me some fighting moves.
Yeah,
right?
see, that's
So
good.
Yeah, I still remember to this day in his bedroom.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, all right, hit me. And I'm like, Dad, I'm not going to hit you.
Yeah.
Like, go for it. And he started teaching me this, and then the next day I fought this kid again at the locker. And then after that, he never bothered me again.
Yeah,
I don't want to give that advice.
No, I wouldn't necessarily either, but I think it's important you had your dad to help you. I didn't have a dad growing up, so I had to figure out, it was a little bit more brutal, and honestly looking back, I wish I had some advice, because sometimes that might be the only thing you can do at that moment. And then again, the reward is they won't pick on you again. So it is a tough situation, and you never want to condone violence. I totally agree. Yeah. And if it's the last resort, sometimes that's all you can do.
How was your self-esteem? How did you feel about yourself during that time?
It was so tricky. My self-esteem was like, it fluctuated because I didn't want other people to determine how I felt about myself, but I couldn't get away from it. It was just always something this or that, and I wanted it. Honestly, the only thing I could do was keep more attention and more passion into my art and into the piano. So I just used it as fuel to do that, and that's really what got me through it, was having a passion and something creative that I was working on. And sure enough, I mean, after it's all said and done, they made fun of me for playing the piano, and now I get paid to do it, and I do what I love. So,
yeah. Where do you play? Because it's so cool that you stuck with that, even though you were being beaten down, you were like, you know what? I'm damn good at this. I've got a gift. I guess it's probably those long fingers probably help, right?
Yes.
But you've got a gift, and you're able to do this. Being a pianist, is it pianist or pianist?
No, it's pianist.
Pianist.
It's not a pianist. No, no some people say, yeah.
Yeah, so pianist.
A good question.
So you've taken this now, and now you're a professional. You're a composer.
Yes, a composer. That's my passion. I went to school for it as well through UC Santa Barbara, and I've been blessed to have a creative passion and ability to compose, because that's what it's about, is putting your own voice out there and having a way to express yourself fully. And my tool happens to be the piano right now, and I can create different instruments and great stories.
Now, while you were doing this as a child,
yes,
did any of these bullies did they actually come out and like criticize your art?
Oh, absolutely. They were, of course, they absolutely criticized my art, and it obviously stemmed from their own insecurity and their own jealousy. But it didn't help to know that you can know that they're still doing it, and so it was definitely a challenge to get through. But
like they were saying you were awful, or
well, it was more like they just laughed. It's a lot of laughing and a lot of I mean, maybe away from the crowd, so a lot of people would be like, "Oh, wow, that's great." Yeah, so it wasn't. I mean, of course, I got all kinds of feedback, and certainly people said, "Oh, that's amazing." But sometimes in the group think environment, it can be kind of like, ha ha ha, especially the singing too.
Right.
So
yeah, because it's not cool.
No, not at all. It's not cool at all.
But it is so cool. Like, I'm gonna say to all our viewers that if you have a child that's being bullied right now, maybe they can really just try so hard to focus on what type of gift that they have, and keep pursuing it. Like maybe martial arts or any type of like instruments,
singing, dancing. There's all kinds of art forms to express yourself, and I'm a huge advocate for that being more supported in schools. I mean, right now, I don't just make a living as a pianist, but I get to do all kinds of things with music, and I have my own album out, and I have.
Nice. What's your album called?
Oh, it's called Choose Love. My latest album is called Choose Love, and it's a collection of all the songs I've written solo piano for the last 24 years, and I've had a huge campaign on Indiegogo, and we successfully were able to raise money for it, and I just recorded it at Sony Studios, and it's available now. It's Choose Love. And
wow. How do you buy it?
You can buy it on my website,
which is
jeremyweinglass.com. The other cool thing about having
W-E-I-N.
It's W-E-I-N, and it'll probably be right there. And nobody has my name, so I was able to get my website with my name. So that's
very nice.
That's one advantage.
Very cool. Well, we've got to wrap up our show, but I just want to say thank you so much, for being on the show. You're also going to be talking at Heidi Lee's workshop, The Naked Truth.
Absolutely, that's coming up.
So we're going to be the Twin Towers there.
We'll both be there.
And, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next on Tako Talk.